In this video we're going to sketch a graph on the TI-84 and the circumstance where we've been given values on the x-axis, we've not been given values on the y-axis. Our example here is the graph y equal 2 to the power of 0.9x plus 3. Now it's helpful to know what the shape of your graph is going to be whenever you begin drawing a graph. Now you might recognize that this is an exponential graph, which means it will take on the shape of an increasing exponential graph with the horizontal asymptote reaching to negative infinity, or it will take on the shape of a decreasing exponential graph, the horizontal asymptote reaching to positive infinity. We'll learn about the shapes of these graphs in section subtopic 6.4. It's about exponential models, and you can find out about their features here. But for right now, let's draw the graph on the calculator. So first we want to figure out an appropriate minimum and maximum for the graph. So we want to find out for the y-axis what's an appropriate value for the min, what's an appropriate value for the max. Second, we're going to find key points on the curve and plot those key points. And finally, we'll join those key points with a smooth curve. So let's take the calculator. So first I'm going to start with the window, and on the window I've got the default window here of negative 10 to 10 on both axes. So I'll change the x window to negative 3 to 5 with a scale of 1 as is shown on the axes given. And the y-axis, I don't really know about those right now, so I'm going to just leave them as they are. I go to the y equal menu in order to type in 2 to the power of 0.9x. On the older calculator you'll need to use brackets here. Add 3 and press enter. I just double check that to make sure it's matching the function that's given on the paper. I'm good to go. So I'll press graph and look to see what I see. Well, that's a reasonable graph, but I notice all of this space down here is not really being used, and at the last value 5 I don't really know what the value is on the graph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the calc menu in order to find out what's the y value at 5 and make sure I include that on the axis. So I type in calc value y x equals 5, press enter, and I'm told the value of y at that point when x equals 5, it's 25.6. So I'm going to go up to 30 and I'm going to use a scale of 5. In order to see the x-axis properly, I'll use 1 unit on the scale in the negative direction. So I'll start down here at negative 5, putting that on the window. Y min negative 5, y max 30, and I want each notch to be worth 5 units, so the increases in steps of 5. And there's our graph, and now we can see for the endpoints negative 3 and 5, we can see y values associated with those endpoints. Now we need to transfer this graph to the paper, so I'll start with that 25.6 that we calculated already here, and I'll write the scale onto our graph, beginning at negative 5, 0, 5. And so at 5 we can plot 25.6. And now I want to draw this shape, but in order to put it in the right place I'll calculate 2 other points. I'll calculate the other endpoint, and any other x or y intercept that I see, there's a y intercept. So to calculate that we'll use the second calc feature again, and we'll choose value, and I'll ask for the value at 0. It tells me when x is equal to 0, the y value is equal to 4. So I'll plot that on approximately the right position on our own axis, and let's do that again, but now for the x value of negative 3. The leftmost endpoint on our graph tells us a y value approximately 3.2, so I'm going to put that in approximately the right place on our graph over here. And now we're ready to join the dots on our graph with a nice smooth curve. And nice to do that with a pencil in case it goes somewhat awry, and then you can do it a second time. Here we go. And there is a graph y equals 2 to the power of 0.9x plus 3.